Okay, good morning, and here we are at News Talk 970. Well, folks, we're back. My name is Cal McKinley, and our phone numbers are 737-1820. We're sitting here in the Magna Center for the first time that our show's been on the air. They just finally got the studio wired last night. We've got a couple of little problems on the phone lines and the speakers in here, but we've got our clock, so I guess that's one of the most important things. And I've got a window here I can peek right through and see old Steve Reno. Anyway, this pretty Wednesday, it's a very lovely day out. A little windy, but...
No matter what happened in the world around us, it would not touch us.
Yeah. I've noticed, back to the driving thing, I've noticed many times where someone will do something that I feel is wrong, and I'll look at the license plate, and if they're from out of town, I have a tendency to just smile and wave to them more than I would if it was a local person, you know. Sure. But I know that's wrong. But, I mean, isn't it funny, the psychological part of that?
There's self-interest involved.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, we don't want to get the tourists, man, you know.
We liken this whole business to the average person lives in a haunted house with the bats and the ghosts of his past failures and shames and disgraces. Yeah. And we say, you don't have to live in that haunted house anymore, and we'll show you how. But you know the problem, Cal, is people have lived in it for 20, 30, 50 years, and they've become so used to living in the haunted house, they actually fight you when you tell them how to tear it down in order to build a castle in its place. They'll actually fight you. Don't take away my misery.
Isn't that
Aren't we strange?
Something? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think there are a lot of people out there that thrive on unhappiness and misery.
Oh, yes. They're not happy unless they're unhappy.
Yeah, right.
Right.
I mean, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I know people that I think instead of the comic section, they read the obits. You know what I mean? It's a self-inflicted thing. Or I don't quite understand it like you would, but...
you know what we call that out in the class in Motor City? We call it a false feeling of life. In other words, a person has nothing to do with himself, and so he gets mad or he gets hostile or feels sorry for himself to give himself an emotional charge. And when he gives himself that emotional charge, he can say, I must exist as a separate human being because, look, I'm getting mad. What we try to show people is that all self-destruction, whether you see it or not, is a horrible thing to do against yourself. Mm-hmm. Why should a man punish himself when he doesn't have to, or a woman?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Is this isn't a new thing. I mean, this goes on in various parts of the country, I suppose.
It's old as truth itself.
Is it really? Yeah.
What we do in Boulder City is simply put it into certain words, and we set it out to people and say, now, here it is. Can't you see that we're telling you the truth about yourself, that you're a slave to your anger and that you're hostile toward people? And can't you see further that that is destroying you? And believe me, Cal, it isn't easy showing people how their everyday misery is against them because they take it as they're being their friend. People love the ball, don't they? Yeah. They love to cry. They love to flare
up.
Isn't
that funny?
Isn't that?
Yeah.
All right.
I have a very...
There is an answer.
There is.
There is an answer. But it won't come overnight because look how many years we've been building up this neurosis. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I know people that will cry at the drop of a hat, and then if you change the subject and hit them with it right away, they turn it off like you turn off a faucet. Mm-hmm. I can't believe that. I mean, but it really happens.
Right.
You know,
go ahead.
No, I was going to say... in all the years I spent in the music business, I spent an awful lot of time living in what we would refer to normally as a resort area, such as like Palm Springs or Balboa Beach or Colorado, or Las Vegas, places that, and I really sincerely believe that people living in those places do have a better attitude. There's a better feeling than, say, and I'm not picking on Chicago, but I mean a regular Philadelphia or whatever, in a regular business type city where they, they close the bars, everybody goes home, sleeps, they get up the next morning and go through the whole thing. But it is a lot different than living in Vegas or Palm Springs or in resort areas. There's a little happier feeling in those areas.
You know, in connection with what you just said, Cal, we tell people wherever they're living to get off the stage, and you brought that up a minute ago.
Yeah, right.
People like, get off the stage. We love to be dramatic. And remember the little boy who fell down 10 blocks from his home, and he fell down and hurt himself, but he waited till he got to the front door before he started crying.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
Think about till he got to the front door. This is the way we are, and it's a terrible way to live.
It's strictly for effect, isn't it?
Yeah. To get the applause of the audience.
Yeah. Well, I think, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to let Steve Areno in there take 90 seconds, and we're going to go to a commercial. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.
The Imperial...
Thanks, Steve-O. Here we are back at News Talk 970. My name is Cal McKinley, and our phone numbers are 737-1820. We're chatting today about a very highly interesting subject. We're chatting with Vernon Howard and Dr. Ellen Dickstein, and I think your points the whole subject matter is extremely interesting to me. Just as a layman observing, I get the feel of what you're talking about.
People are seeking, but they haven't found.
Yeah.
Because they're looking in the wrong place, namely into their past, into their memories, or into their excitements.
Yeah.
So we say there's something a level above this.
Yeah.
Would you like to comment on that, Ellen?
Do you have classes, or what? I mean, what?
Oh, yes. We have classes 4 times a week, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Oh, I see.
Regularly. It lasts about an hour and a half. We have, 80, 90, 100 people per meeting.
Wow.
Session.
Yeah.
It's right out in Boulder City.
Uh-huh. Well, by golly, it looks like we've got a caller here. Let's bear with us, folks. We're trying all this new equipment. We'll find out whether we're on the air. Hold on. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, good morning, Cal.
Hi. How are you?
Hey, this is Frankie D. Frank D'Amato, host of the KUNV Senior South program.
Well, bless you. How are you, sir?
Oh, good.
All right.
Look, I took this opportunity before I run out again. I've been listening to your program.
Yeah.
And I wish personally to thank you for having been a guest on our program, especially mine on Thursday morning. So,
I really appreciated that, and I had a delightful time, and you sure do a great job over there.
fine. I know that you had mentioned it on your program last week about Peggy Grover and Frank D'Amato.
Yes.
And I thought I'd reciprocate, and maybe we can get some of your audience to come through, being as we're an hour ahead of you.
That's right.
And the only difference is that we don't have, a call in.
No, but you're FM and we're AM, and you're over there at the university. And by golly, we ought to have people tune you in. What? Give me the call, the frequency again on FM.
That's 91.5.
91.5, okay.
And I'm sure that some of the listeners are going to enjoy it. It's not only seniors, citizens, but, lots of the young group.
Well, you sure play some great music. I know that.
Oh, fine, and we enjoyed having you.
Thank you very much.
Hey, thank you again, and good luck to you in your new studio.
Thank you. We're fighting it this morning. We've got all this new equipment. We're learning how to use it.
Fine.
Thanks again. Keep listening. We've got some great guests today.
We sure will.
All righty. Bye-bye. That was pretty nice. I was a guest on their. That's the University of Nevada studio over there. It's no commercials, and they play different types of music all day. And then they have these little shows for slanders, senior citizens, etc. And anyway, I was a guest last week and had a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. Now let's get back to what we're talking about, Ellen. We were talking about the classes during the week and so on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, they're really a wonderful experience. So much goes on there. Every class is different, and anybody can come in at any time. They're informal. Vernon has a wonderful sense of humor, and, we're very serious at times, and at the same time, there's a lightness there. It's a very friendly, open group, and anybody is welcome to come. And if they want more information about, when the classes meet, they can just call 293-4444, and somebody will answer all questions.
Okay. 4 4s, huh?
293-4444.
That's my address at home. I live at 4444. Well, that's very interesting.
We also have several free film lectures given throughout the Las Vegas and Henderson area. And all the information about those classes can also be gotten from the same number. Some of Mr. Howard's students take film lectures of
little girls playing with dolls, the sweet innocence of childhood.
We actually film them when Vernon speaks, and then they take these films to various spots throughout Las Vegas.
So we're here in Las Vegas.
Oh, I see.
On film. And
that's an interesting concept.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
People come and. Some people are surprised, some are wonder about it, and every once in a while someone will come and they'll say, either by the attitude with words, this is what I've been looking for all my life. It hurts, the truth does hurt, right?
Oh, yeah.
Tell us the truth about ourselves, and our old ego flares up. But some people have got to the point where they say, I'm not going to lie to myself anymore about my situation. And if my ego gets injured, then I'm going to keep coming back and get it injured more and more. Our class motto, by the way, is, if you can take it, you will make it.
That's cute. That is very cute. That's, sometimes with all the various things that are open to for us to study and get involved in, sometimes I wish I was much younger and I could have time to do all these things. Like my wife and I got in a little bit into the transcendental meditation, which we kind of enjoy. We haven't done it that much, but it's interesting. Yeah, but this is a very positive. I like what you're talking about.
And talk about youthfulness. Yeah. People out there have or are acquiring a youthful spirit. And haven't you noticed, Cal, people who are old at 30?
Oh, sure.
Have you noticed?
Oh,
Isn't that terrible?
Yeah.
That's because their mind is old and their life is old. We tell them how to wake up, snap out of it, snap out of the hypnosis of life, and you'll stay young, and you will. You'll be vibrant, not phonily, not putting on an act.
No, I know.
But coming from a real spirit. Right.
Yeah, we've got a caller here. Let's see what this is about. Good morning. You're on the air. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, great. Well, we've got about a minute and a half. What would you like to say?
What I want to know is, have we found that a great deal of negative thinking has affected health?
What was that question?
Does the amount of negative thinking affect people's health?
Oh, yes, indeed, and affects every facet of your life. Just look, I'll tell you what to do. Wherever you go out of your house next time, miss, you watch people's faces, and you'll see that they're overwhelmed by themselves, by negativity. They're under a spell, under a hypnosis. We show you how to break it, how to snap awake.
Through this positive thinking?
Oh, yes.
I didn't mean to refer to it as positive thinking, but I guess it is.
Fine.
Yeah.
Call it higher positive thinking.
Yeah, right.
I had read somewhere that there was when people have cancer, that there was a cancer personality in some instances. Can this be true, and can it be reversed?
What do you mean by a cancer personality? I don't understand.
Due to negativeness and things like that it is more prevalent in those type of people than it is in the regular people.
We do show people how to be positive effortlessly. Now, the average human being, when you tell him to be positive, he goes and puts on a phony smile, and he goes around slapping people on the back, and when he goes home, he cries. We're saying there is a natural positive life, which if you get rid of the unnatural negative life, will come to you easily, and you don't have to think about being positive or negative, because you're above the opposites of the intellect.
Yeah, right.
And life flows smoothly.
That's beautiful. Does that help you, dear?
Yes, it does.
Oh, thank you very much. Keep listening. We're going to break now for the news, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you.
Right, bye-bye. We're going to be right... The phone lines are now open. The number is 737-1820. Give us a call.
The Magna Executive Center, that beautiful new office building on East Flamingo, is now finished and ready for leasing. We encourage you to get over now to inspect this outstandingly beautiful office building with such a convenient location and so many extra fine features. For example, you'll find completely covered parking for you and your customers, an outstanding entryway, atriums, lunchroom, and exercise room. They also...
Okay, welcome and thank you, Steve Reno. Here we are back at News Talk 970. My name is Cal McKinley, and our phone numbers are 737-1820. We're chatting here with Dr. Ellen Dickstein and Mr. Vernon Howard, and we're talking about the higher positive thinking, right?
Right.
Listen, we might as well catch up on these callers,
Sure,
right?
go ahead.
Good morning, you're on the air. Can you hear me? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
This is Ken.
Oh, okay.
How are you today?
Well, we're kind of scuffling with all this new equipment here. We haven't got it all together yet.
Well, it's good to have you back.
Well, it's good to be back on the air.
I had just one question for your guest there.
Okay.
When does a problem not become a problem but a challenge?
When you are not you anymore. Think about that a little bit. You go out into the world, your family or business world, and you run into a problem. Now, what is a problem? A problem is something that denies you what you think you must have. What is it? A beautiful woman, a raise in pay, flattery from someone? Now, suppose you had a different nature, A nature that was so complete that it didn't put any demands at all on the world. None. You know, I'm not talking about having food and clothing, things like that. I'm talking about false psychological needs. You go out into the world and you are complete in yourself with a true spiritual life. You don't have any demands on the world at all. Therefore, who can frustrate you? Who can cause you a problem? Now, you see where this puts us? Right back to the point that every single human being on earth is a problem to himself, and no one causes his problems but himself with his own delusory thinking. Okay?
Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah.
Thank you, Cal.
All right. Thank you very much for calling.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Let's see now. Let's try this. Good morning. You're on the air.
Hello?
Oh, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
I'd like to speak with the doctor, if I may.
Already?
You open?
Yes, here I am.
Okay. Yes, Sergeant here. I've had extensive association with psychology and psychiatry. Have you taught psychology?
Yes, I have.
You've been a teacher, okay. Now, let's both mutually agree that that has done nothing for anybody, okay?
Well, what I studied...
Reality, psychiatry, and psychology does nothing to help the individual at all, not really.
All the traditional psychology that I had studied had not answered my problem.
Okay, all right, we'll take it from there. All right, now, with you having been through that, what do you now feel in these studies is beneficial and helpful to the individual who really seeks something different?
Well, it gives us a whole new way of looking at our lives and our problems. As Vernon has said, a problem is not something to get angry or fearful over. It's something to be understood. And what he gives us are really practical methods to approach life. Everything that he teaches us in class, we take right out into the world.
Give me, for instance, can you? As an example.
Okay, well, for one thing, when we go into a situation where we're fearful, the fear takes us over completely. And what happens is we start acting in a way that is not right because we're coming from a wrong place. You know, we're not even aware of ourselves. We're not conscious of the situation. One of the simple exercises Vernon gives us is when we walk into a new situation to know that we're walking through the door. Now, that sounds so simple. You might say, well, anybody can do that.
To know we're walking through a door.
Right.
Be aware of yourself walking through the door.
That means when you walk into that room, you're not immediately taken over by the atmosphere of the room, but you are with yourself at that moment.
Okay, let me interrupt you because there may be other callers. Another question, is there literature? Is there something one can study?
Oh, yes.
Where could I get some?
Vernon has written over a dozen books, and he's just come out with a new series of little $1 booklets that are just gems.
Where can I get?
Well, they're available at many bookstores throughout the Las Vegas.
See that, then you must understand a second very powerful truth, that is not your real nature after all. That when that is dissolved through insight, then you'll be someone that has no need to identify yourself at all. And that is what freedom is. But you must pass through the pain of seeing that you've been wrong all your life. And when you tell people to do that, and they flare up at you. And a lot of people who come to our classes do that, and they don't come back. We know that. And we know that when they go out having heard the truth, that they're going to think a long, hard time of what they heard in that lecture out there, and some will come back and they'll say, I give up. I'm tired of fighting myself anymore. I'm tired of lying to myself. Please help me. Those are the people who can change and will change.
Yeah.
And we see it right in front of our eyes. We see them getting less irritable.
That's extremely interesting.
Yeah.
Let's take this one. Good morning. You're on the air. Can you hear me?
Yes, Cal. Outside of the musical chimes, is that the Soothe the Savage Beast?
That's to soothe the savage beast, right?
Or the Restless Natives, or whatever it may be.
Yeah, whatever.
Okay, may I chat with your guest there?
Sure. They're right here.
Okay. Briefly, I mean, you're bringing out the psychological, I guess, the image that you're saying that people do not like to see themselves as they are.
Correct.
How does this work on mass psychology? In other words, the overall picture, whereas a large group of people, or say even an entire population, may be guilty of a particular misgiving that they permit. But, and you adduce these persuasive facts to them, show them clear-cutly that they are somewhat responsible for the guilt or the problem.
The problem is, when a mob gets together, a mob loses its conscience, it loses its intelligence, it loses its wisdom. So now look, right now, this morning, we're talking about the individual who wants to break away from the mad mob, who sees no reward in it anymore, who doesn't want to be more popular than right. You see, we say you have to be right rather than popular, rather than accepted. And the masses of people do not want this, very definitely.
Yeah, very definitely.
You know that, don't you?
I have to agree with you.
And, go ahead, please.
But the next point is, by a gradually erosion into their guilt complex, by education and by input or news or information to them.
Do you know what guilt really is?
Yes.
Pure egotism.
No, I don't. Tell me.
Pure egotism.
Yes, this is a matter, I think it's a matter
pure
of
egotism. Yeah, and you can be above both the egotism and the guilt simply by seeing that all the things that you say, we all did foolish things in the past, they happened in time. 20 years ago you were vicious to a woman, 20 years ago you were arrested by the police or whatever, and a person carries these memory images around with him, and he takes them as being him, then he feels guilty. Now, here's the strange thing about it. He wants to feel guilty so that he can think that he has an identity built up by time, because that's the only thing he knows is a time identity. We're saying that there's an eternal identity, and don't let that word eternal throw you. We say there's an eternal identity that is above all your conditioning, above all your memories, above all your angers, that you can live freely in right now. And the way you can do it, I'll tell you how to do it. Right now, I'll give you an exercise on the air, and I'll do it with you. Relax yourself just a little bit. Know where you are. Just look around. What's the position of your hands? What's the expression on your face? And if you're talking to someone, what's the tone of your voice? Be aware of yourself and know that these mechanical memories do not make up your true nature. This is a long story, but there's a good start.
Yeah, I think so. What you're really saying is that we all, or perhaps not all of us, but a great majority of us do live under a false image that we believe that people see us the way we believe, we think. Is this what you're really saying? Is that correct?
Yes, quite right. And do you see where frustration enters into it? Let's say that I'm going around with an image of being a real nice, friendly, intelligent man. All right. I get fired after 20 years down at the
passengers of the plane or at the captain's hands. In other words, you don't just quarrel with the captain about the flight operation.
The chief haunting question this relates to what you're talking about. The chief haunting question of every human being on earth is this: who am I? And then they go out into the world and they want to get $1 million, or they want to get this woman for sex, or they want to achieve something prominent politically.
Now you got to the nitty.
Then when they reach it, they're still as miserable, right?
Yeah, what I'm trying to say is, the psychologically, I think we believe that once we have achieved a certain position, that we are this. In other words, that you represent.
And we never learn that once we get to be elected or get $1 million, we never learn that we're just as miserable as we were before, right?
Yeah, you see, and here's the whole thing. I think these images or these thought cycles create a certain amount of greed, which of course has unfortunately tagged us internationally, as the greedy American. And this is the real problem, and it reflects, back, once again, here we're talking about, moral images and how we have deviated from that, and now I have a certain amount of retrospect trying to figure this all out.
Images are bricks on your back. And out at New Life Foundation, we tell you how to get rid of those horrible burdens on you that have been making you walk heavy all your life.
Well, this is true, and I think what now you're pointing toward is sort of a religious orientation, and there's nothing wrong in this particular thing. But what I'm trying to say is the everyday cycle that people have to live in. I think this is one of the things that they should really ask themselves: just exactly who I am, who am I, and if I am that particular image, how am I playing this role in life?
You are never who you think you are. You don't have to be who you think you are. When you abolish all labels, all images, when you cease to call yourself anything, you are gloriously free and happy. You know how to find out whether that's true or not? Do it. Just call 293-4444 and we'll show you how to drop your images so you don't have to fight all day long to try to find out who you are. You will know who you are, but it will be without intellectual thought. It will be something far above that.
Our conversation has been very delightful, and I hope I passed some information
Yes,
along
fine. Well, I enjoyed it.
general listeners.
How about Dr. Dickstein saying something? Would you like her to add a bit?
Yes, I think. I'd like to hear from her.
Honey, I'm awful sorry, Doctor. We're going to have to continue this after the news. We got to go to network news, which means we have to be right on the button, you know.
I know what you're saying.
But I thank you for calling, and she will talk when we come back.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We're going to go to network news, and Steve
Funny and cooler to boot.
Well, thank you, Steve Areno. He pointed to me with his finger, by golly. I guess we're back on the air. Anyway, welcome back. My name is Cal McKinley, and our phone number is at 737-1820. We're chatting here with Dr. Ellen Dickstein and Mr. Vernon Howard who is the director of the New Life Foundation out in Boulder City. We've got a caller here. Let's take this one and see what this is all about here. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning. Firstly, to Mr. Howard, thanks a lot for a program like this. Something you have said have touched me. For 60 years, I've sought outside of myself, trying to find inner contentment. May I ask a pointed question, sir?
Please do.
Are you a content, happy man?
Yes, I am.
May I ask you how you came across this?
Would you really like to know?
Yes, I would.
Hard work on the very things that we've been talking about this afternoon. You want to work hard, you can have it. And because it's very hard work to get rid of all your nonsense, because we lie and call our nonsense truth and beauty and all that. And we don't see how we suffer unconsciously. That's the first step. If you see that you suffer unconsciously, then that becomes a fact to you instead of something that's hidden down in the cellar. Then there are ways, by being aware of yourself, by little...
Also the astrology.
Join the spirit of truth. It will show you what to do at all times. You don't have to refer to books, not even my books. You'll be living from the spirit of truth.
Mm-hmm. I found out really and truly why I'm here and what I'm supposed to do through astrology and through my church.
Why don't you live from your real nature, and in order to do that, you have to find out what your old nature is doing, how it has tyrannized you all your life. Are you worried, for example? How many times already today have you worried? 50? 60? Come on.
Well,
See, now, why are you in love with your worries? Please, get rid of them. Come on. Join us on the right road upward, up the side of the mountain. It's a long, hard climb, but you don't have to be afraid of anything. And if you are afraid, be afraid. Look at the liberty we give to people who come to classes. Be as afraid as you want, and we'll show you how to be unafraid for the rest of your life.
Well, you have to have money to go to those classes. I haven't got any right now.
Come to the free classes right here in Boulder City, in Las Vegas.
Oh, Las Vegas?
Call 293-4444.
Yeah, 293-4444. Give them a call and take advantage of it.
All right.
All right. Thanks, dear. Bye-bye. We're going to have to wind it down for our Wednesday here, and I want to thank Dr. Ellen Dickstein for being here with us today, and Mr. Vernon Howard. We've had an extremely interesting show, and I'm sure that everybody out there was very vitally interested in it, and I hope that we get the word across. Anyway, thanks a lot. Tune us into the old stands. We'll be back tomorrow morning, and goodbye for now.